GSL.
Hello and welcome back to the GSL Code A. We are in our losers match. Both of our Terrans sit waiting. It's going to be either Flash or Bravo that goes on to face Lenok here. And I'm feeling very strongly that Flash is going to take this one.
Flash has a pretty decent TVT and he should be able to take that. We have not really a lot of games that Bravo played in Terran versus Terran in offline. So right now the only match that I could actually find was one against Snow. That was the best of 3 that he played at the WCS Korea Qualifiers Season 1 2013, all the way back in April 2013, roughly a year ago, and back then he lost against Snow with a 1-2.
Snow doesn't even play StarCraft II anymore.
Exactly, that's how long ago that was. So Bravo, we don't know anything about his TVT basically. We know on the other hand that Flash TVT is pretty good.
It's really good. It's very quite good, in fact.
Yep.
He was overshadowed by some innovations, TVT, and bombers, I feel, over the last year. But he wants to get back up there with the big boys in Code S, and this is the first step of 2 steps he's going to have to take in order to do that.
Yeah, I feel Flash was... I mean, he has really good track record in Pro League, but I feel in International StarCraft 2 he's not really where he wants to be. He didn't have the success that he wanted, a bit overshadowed by the Dong. And, well, we're going to find out if he can make his way into WCS Code S, into the Premier League here. We're going straight in game number 1 at WCS Code A. Nolan Wolf, Bravo versus Flash.
Flash versus Bravo.
And Flash starts to the top of the map on Polar Knight against his Terran opponent, TVT. Pretty good matchup for Flash. Has a really good track record here. This is a loser's match, so probably not too happy that he finds himself in this situation.
Definitely
Let's
not.
see what he can do against his opponent. Starting to the bottom of the map, we have Bravo.
That was a Bravo cheer. We had that earlier as well. Or actually, that was a young one cheer that we had earlier. I think. Regardless, this is a very, very energetic fan who is cheering very loudly for his favorites, which is I like to hear. I like to see as well. I just can't see, but I hear it. There's the difference in builders already, by the way. Bravo with the gas first versus Flash doing more standard timing. And if there's to be one of these 2 players that goes mech, it will be Bravo. But it could be both.
Yeah, true enough. But with the gas first, we could also see that Banshee build that we were talking about earlier, which is still quite common in Terran versus Terran. Terran vs. Terran is a lot more aggressive than it was back in 2011, for example. I still remember the good old days when we were going to the GOM studio in Mukdong and we were both just praying, no command center first, no CC first, no CC first. And yeah, that was always the headshot moment when you could see the CC first in the game. And I'm like, alright, 20 minutes, no aggression, awesome.
Yeah.
These days it's a lot more entertaining. Like, most of the mirror matches are so much more enjoyable now.
Yeah, I agree. You got to have some really nice conversations, though, on those TVTs.
Yeah.
Talking about life.
Exactly.
SUVs, hair, things like that.
Weird things. Terran vs. Terran is probably my most favorite mirror matchup right now these days.
You know, I like Protoss vs. Protoss a lot, but Terran vs. Terran is, I think, the most fun to watch in the mid-game and the late game. And then the early game is, like, pretty good, too, so...
What I really like about TVT is that for some reason the builds always seem to differ. You always... or most of the times when I cast a Terran vs. Terran, it seems like players decide to go down different paths. And the one thing that I have Pros versus Protoss, even though it's a lot more entertaining than it was for me, you see it so often that players go for exactly the same builds and that they are just colliding, and then it of course comes down to a bit of macro. And well,
sometimes you also see in the late game Protoss vs. Protoss where both players are going towards the exact same composition, whereas in this matchup you see one player going towards mech and one other player going towards marine tank, for example.
Or just expansion play against early tech and aggression.
Yeah. What we see here is Flash takes his command center on the low ground, and Bravo is still teching very quickly towards getting that starport out, and we'll go for Banshees. Probably Cloak Banshees, I mean, definitely, with the double gas series already taken. And Flash can defend this. He is going to have you know, a decent marine count out, but a good Banshee micro against Marines that don't have stim, you're going to be able to get so many kills, and it's really about Flash making sure he gets his eBay up and getting the turrets up.
I mean, as long as there is no combat shield, you can just two-hit a Marine. One of the defense that we see quite often is just one single Widow Mine and a Viking. That helps you quite a lot. The Widow Mine shot alone doesn't really kill the Banshee, but as soon as you have a Viking in the vicinity, you can just make sure that he dies.
Whoa, it's a Raven, actually.
Yeah, really rushed Raven.
Gas first into Raven.
That looks like we are gonna see, I think, auto turrets.
Definitely mech out of Bravo, like, in general. Maybe an auto turret attack, but I think he's just thinking that Flash is going to go Banshees. Look at how he positions his Marines.
Yeah, but the thing is, why would you then rush it this fast? Like, you do not, if you think your opponent is going into Banshee play, you do not have to go gas first.
Well, what happens here is...
That's why I thought it might be an auto turret. If he really rushes the Raven out this fast, it's usually something where you really want to have the timing, and you don't need to rush that out if you don't expect, if you don't want to do something aggressive.
This is starting to confuse me a little bit. Okay, so he's now making double Marines. I was going to say, well, Calder, the only thing that I could think of here is that he wants the extra gas because he's going to start meching anyways. The Raven is really safe, and then he can get a Viking out, so he can not only shut a Banshee down with that, but like shut it down hard. It looks like he may actually have planned to do a siege tank Marine push with the Raven to give him point defense drone.
Build up the energy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is really strange, but Flash is actually putting a lot of pressure on here. There's the auto turret being dropped.
Told
so
you.
Forget about the energy. Told me so, man. Rushed out auto turret there for the defense.
He knew he would need it.
Flash has his command center already on the low ground mining with the turret.
I have to admit, I haven't seen that before. Usually when you see the gas first, then I always see the Banshee with a cloak. And the player that expects his opponent to go Banshees plays a more normal build, takes the gas a little bit later after the barracks, and then goes for the Banshee. I mean, like this, he has the Viking a little bit faster, so he has Banshee Viking, so he doesn't even have to rely on his Marines. But yeah, let's see what he's going to do with this.
And the funny thing is, TVT right now in Korea is about as rare as ZVZ was 3 years ago. So there's sometimes builds that you haven't seen yet, and this looks like to be a timing where he moves out. He's going to take his command center for it's not all in, but Flash has a healthy Hellion count. He's going into mech. There's no doubt about what he's doing, and with the Hellions here, if he gets some good connects on these Marines, he can really, really hurt this push. I mean, he's got the watchtower right now with those Hellions. He sees this coming, and now he needs to prepare back at home. He's actually going to go for a run-by instead of actually trying to engage this. I don't think this is going to work because there's a tight wall at the top of the ramp.
Yep, double siege tanks on the move, and Flash is starting to move back.
He only has 2 Hellions here. He's going to try to trap this.
Oh, Viking versus Viking.
Raven.
That's the auto turret.
Yeah, auto turret here buffering quite a lot for those SCVs. And the siege tanks, one of them does siege up, the other one stays in tank mode to actually give him some increased DPS, but Flash is pretty much crushing this.
Yep, Flash is taking quite the lead here. Well, actually, Bravo has the better army size. He's rushing through here with the siege tank that he has. Bravo is the one who wins the fight. Flash at the beginning looked like he was able to push this back, but the siege tank that we saw was doing a lot of damage. Now the tanks for Bravo are gone, but Flash is still down to 11 army supply. And he is on the run right now.
Yeah. You know, I thought he had another siege tank already sieged up. I thought Flash had 2, but he only had 1, and then one was not even fighting during that first fight.
I mixed the colors up for a second on the the top. We suddenly have Flash down in Harvesters and down in army supply.
Yeah, he's stuck here, trapped in his main base as a tank sieged up his ramp. Never what you want in TVT. This barracks is seeing what he doesn't want to see, and he's actually going to target the siege tank down with a few of his Marines, and
he gets it, and he gets all those units at the bottom as well. Flash is in so much trouble. That's 30 supply for Bravo right now, and Flash doesn't have a whole lot. He's down in Harvesters too, and now that all those units enter his main base, he's going to lose even more than that. That reactor is going to be a goner. Here comes another auto turret already, zoning that Viking out. Here come the SCVs, and just by killing a lot of those SCVs, he's getting another advantage in the game.
Yep. And SCVs fighting an auto turret looks so silly. So SCVs fighting a siege tank looks even sillier. And Flash down to 12 army supply, 15 workers, 73 to 27.
Wait,
GG.
What? Okay.
That was
I mean, bravo.
Flash definitely I don't like his choice to go for the run by. And then he was too late to come back for the attack, and also I don't know, I thought he had a second siege tank. He didn't, and the first siege tank he had was definitely later. So I misread the situation when I looked at those production tabs. And it looked like with the flank he had, he was going to hold, but turns out Hellions don't do so well against siege tanks. And the Marines for Bravo also had that one medevac healing and the auto turret support. So this is one of those pushes where things snowball out of control very, very quickly. And a fight that looks like one is going one way starts to go the other, then it goes the other really, really hard.
We are one map away from Flash dropping out of the group with an 0-4.
Not what most people were expecting.
I am surprised, to say the least.
Let's reserve judgment. We don't know what map Flash is picking here either.
Well, I mean, I'm judging already. I feel that Bravo impressed me quite a lot in the last game. That was well practiced, very well executed. Flash may have made a mistake there with the decision that he made, but still, the style that Bravo chose there worked for him quite well, and you could really see that was a result of a lot of hard work that he put in that. Yeah. So he went out with that and just took his chance, was rewarded for it, and takes the lead in the series. And Flash has to be quite careful how he approaches the next two maps, because one more map, if he loses another map, he's out.
I think on Dayla's point, the map that Flash has picked here, he's going to mech again. And I think this is pretty... If I'm Bravo, I'm looking at the map choice, I'm thinking this is pretty obvious. And he wants to use Hellion run-bys again, which he already attempted to do in game number 1. And I'm just going to play a defensive game if I'm Bravo, and not do the attacking this time, play the more defensive game. Like you said, Flash, one map loss away from being knocked out of Code A, going back to Code B. Can Bravo take the 2-0? Let's find out on Dayla's point. This is the GSL Code A Power Revolt.